welcome up somebody that I got to know just a little while ago. In fact, quite a while ago, about 7 months ago. And this gentleman has gone through a lot of these concepts with me personally and has really taught me a lot about success and how to be successful. And God, I can't say enough about this gentleman. Why don't I just introduce him up here? Would you please help me welcome up our guest today, Mr. Lawrence Thompson.
We're fine. We'll go back there. Thank you very much. Really appreciate all of you coming out here today. I must admit that our flyers say millionaire training. It's got to be a little bit enticing to want to know what this is all about. We're going to share some ideas with you here today that have helped a lot of us over the years, especially myself, become successful. And success is always relative to where you are and where you've been. And so that's kind of some of the things that we're going to share with you here today. It's an exciting day for me. Since Herbalife got started, since my first meeting at Herbalife and being involved with it, this is a training class that Mark and I had talked about since day one. And so we're really excited about this, to be able to share some of the things with you, aside from our product line, aside from our marketing system, that a very important part to make your business work. And I myself, like Doug, we really appreciate those of you that have taken the time that are not part of Herbalife. You're certainly welcome to take some notes here today, and if this can benefit you in your business or your job or your profession or career, you're certainly welcome to some of these ideas. But we're going to be talking about Herbalife primarily, but you'll be able to use some of these concepts in all areas of your life. You know, I was standing back here in the room, back of the room here earlier, and I saw all the people out here, and I could feel the excitement. And it kind of made me, a little humble here to come up here and share some of these things with you, because I have to share a few things with you here so you can understand. The things that I'm going to share with you today are things that are part of my life. They're part of me. They're not things that I developed. They're things that were shared with me about 13 years ago that made sense to me, and I started applying some of these things to my life, and it started making a significant change in it. My background prior to that was strictly construction work. That's all I'd ever known in my life, was doing construction work. I lived up in a small city up north near San Jose. How many know where Livermore, California is? Can I see it? Is that right? You certainly all weren't there at the same time. I wouldn't know there's strangers in town. I'll tell you right now. But I lived up there, went to school up there, and it was just a small city, and I grew up doing construction work because my dad did construction work, and my brothers did it, and a couple of my cousins, and so we kind of had our own built-in crew there, and I started doing it in the summers in between school at 13, and I liked it. And I never thought about ever doing anything different than construction work. That's the only thing I'd ever thought about. It wasn't necessarily a goal or anything. It was just that's what I grew up and I was going to do it, and that's how it was going to be. And I do remember this, so I remember that my income goal, I did have an income goal back then, and that was to earn $25,000 a year. I knew back then, I said, if I can just get to $25,000 a year, I'm going to have it made. And that's the only real goal as I understood it at that point. And here it is, springtime now, right? We're getting ready to go into our spring season, and I know what would be happening. I would be getting ready to come right out of the rainy season like I had all the other previous years, if I hadn't have been fortunate enough to get exposed to an opportunity in 1968. And I never will forget that, and I'd like to take a couple of minutes here and share that with you. What had happened was, it was my first exposure into the sales industry, the direct sales industry as we have here in Herbalife. And a good friend of mine had found a little part-time business that he'd been exposed to, and he got a hold of me one night. His name was Mike Fuller. And Mike Fuller was also in construction work. And Mike Fuller, I really respected him because Mike was different than most of the construction workers I work with, because he had a couple of homes and he had a few dollars put aside. So I respected him. Besides liking him, I respected him. And he called me one night. It was on a Monday night. I never will forget this. And he was very excited, and Mike was not that kind of a person. And he started telling me about this opportunity he'd found, and how he thought he could make some real serious money, and something that would fit me like a glove. And have you ever talked to someone that seemed like this walking about that high off the ground? That's how he sounded that night. And he got my interest up. Now, when he got my interest, though, he called me at 6:30 at night, and he wanted me to go over to the Hyatt House Hotel in San Jose, which is a good 45 minutes away, and he wanted me to be there like at 8 o'clock. And I was real hesitant to go. Not that I was hesitant because of his excitement, or I didn't believe in him, because I was going. I was excited because of his excitement. And I was curious about anything that could get Mike going like that. So I said, will you call me back in 10 minutes? And the reason I wanted to call back, at that time, I had real long hair down to here and had a beard to match it. And I was looking pretty good, though. I got to share that with you. and so my hair wasn't right, and I didn't want to go to a meeting if my hair wasn't right. And so I had to go find the deal to see if I could get it going. And so he called me back. I said, okay, I'm coming. And I was real excited about it. At first, I was real nervous and everything, and I was real excited because, I'd never been to a business meeting before. And so I'm going over there, and I'm really jetting around there, and I have no idea what I'm going to see. I'm more into the getting ready and going and what's going to take place than the opportunity he's talking about. And because it was a business meeting, I didn't know quite what to wear, so I put on my best beads. I wanted to do the best job I could there, I never will forget it. I went to the Hyatt House Hotel in San Jose, and any of you who have been there, you know how it is. And this is quite a few years ago. It's different than it is today. And I never will forget walking. That was the first time in my life, by the way, that I'd ever been in a hotel. That's the truth. I've been in a few motels before. I've been never a hotel. There's the difference. And I walked in. I never will forget. When I walked out there, my hair was down to here, and I was walking, doing everything I could. If you're going to go there, you might as well do it with style. And I walked in, and I know those people thought they were hallucinating. That's the first time they'd ever seen anybody like me in there. And I walked in, and I went to the meeting, and I never will forget it. Mike's sponsor, when it was all, first of all, I came up and I sat down, and everybody left. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of like today if someone that looked like that walked in today. It would be, nobody think anything about it, but, they wouldn't necessarily want their gas sitting next to it, right? And so, everybody left, and it didn't bother me at all, because I'm into everything that's happening. And I no sooner got there than the meeting started. And they got me excited that night. They started sharing some things, and they got me excited. And I never really thought that anything was going to develop from me going there at all. But they got me excited. And when it was all over, Mike's sponsor walked up to him, and he looked at me, and he says, "You don't want to do this, do you?" And I said, yes. And I got started the next day. And that first week, I had some incredible things happen to me. I got off to a real good start because of Mike and his sponsor and some things that started happening. I got right away. I got into a training class that was kind of like this, and they really got my attention. And in the first week, I earned $600 part-time. And I was just a babbling idiot after that because I didn't think it was possible. I never made $600 full-time in a week, let alone part-time. So it was really something for me. And I remember what happened. The end of that day, the Friday, it was 5 days, and at the end of it, it was a gentleman came up that I used to work with, and he was coming by to say hello, and I wanted to recruit this guy. And so I used to do cement work, so I remember drawing the marketing plan out in the cement there and telling him about how you could do all this and you can do that. And he looked at me and he said, "That's so good." He said, "What are you doing here, working in construction?" And I said, you got a point. And I quit. I got him, and that impressed him. I got him in my business. And I left. I did. I left, and I left my tools and everything right there. And I said, I'm not coming back. And about 2 hours later, I said, "Ooh, what did I do?" You get all excited, you do all these crazy things. And I thought, what if $600 doesn't come in next week? What's going to happen? And one of these things. And I started going. And the most important thing that happened to me was that I got off to a real good start. And that made, I believed the business could work for me. They told me it could work for me. And then it was actually working for me. And so that just made more excitement happen. And I started going. And after becoming full-time, the first couple months were real good. real good. And then I went through some transitions after that. After about 90 days was really positive for me. And then I went through some transitions personally, and that's when these concepts that I'm going to share with you today came into play. See, when things are moving, when things are going well, you can do anything and it'll work. But what happens when you stub your toe a little bit? What happens when you get a little confused? What happens then when you're not sure the direction you're going in? That's when concepts like this will come into play. It was really stuff. And I got to tell you about my sponsor. I never will forget this. I got to share this story with you because Doug asked me if I'd share it before we got started, and I almost forgot it. But I was taking my sponsor. If any of you are familiar with up north, I was driving across from Hayward to across the San Mateo Bridge to get to the San Francisco airport. And I had this black Ford. You got to understand I got to explain my car to you. I mean, I started making all this money, and I had this black '62 Ford, and it just wasn't a normal. It was real low. I had it really lowered like this, so you're driving down the road, looking good, and so there was a couple of problems with this car. One problem was it didn't have an emergency brake, which is no big deal, only it didn't go into park either. So when you stopped, you had a problem. And but I fixed that problem because I made a little cement rock about that big, and I kept it behind the seat here. And so when you stopped, if it was kind of going downhill, you just eased up on it. If you got you could get real good at it, nobody would tell you were doing it, see? And just the same thing going back this way. And it had blunt valves in it, so if you had one of those cars that went bloop, bloop, bloop like that. And I started making all this money and stuff, and I was still concerned. I didn't want to buy suits, and I didn't want to spend money and all this stuff. And it was just really, it was different for me. Because I guess I really didn't believe it was going to last, was the truth of the matter. And I remember taking my sponsor across the San Mateo Bridge. And he looked at me and he says, I don't want to ever. He had a Cadillac, and he kept telling all his people, you got to buy a Cadillac. If you're going to be in business, as soon as you start making the money, start showing the money here. Start showing people that you really believe in what you're doing. And that just didn't compute to me at all, but it was exciting to me, But I just didn't have enough courage to make it go. And I would drive across that bridge, and he says, I don't want to ever ride in this dirty blank Ford again. And I said, okay. I said, but listen, you don't understand. I said, I can't afford a Cadillac yet. And he looked me right in the eyes, and he said, let me tell you something, Larry. He said, you can't afford not to have a Cadillac. And I said, that makes sense to me. And I came right back across the San Mateo Bridge, and it used to be Buchanan Smith. It's Lou Doty Cadillac up there. Now, it used to be Buchanan Smith. And I came back across there, and I said, I'm going to go get me a Cadillac. Never thinking in a million years that it was going to happen. And I pulled in, and I started driving up there. And I looked up there, and first of all, when I pulled in the driveway, you got to understand, I got my big tall boots on, and I got my hair down, I got my beats and my little shades, and they don't like to see me coming in there at all, And I pull in the driveway, and of course my car scrapes as I go across the driveway. And I get in there, and I can see them through the window, and they're just having a ball with this whole deal. And I get in there, and first thing I want to be as cool as I can, and the first thing I do is I forget to put the rock down. And my car starts taking off, and I said, I'll get it real slow, and it starts beating me. And so that was the first deal that happened. The second deal that happened, I went inside, and nobody would wait on me. You know what I mean? Nobody. I kept walking around, I kept waiting, and nobody. And finally, it was getting obvious. I'd been there for 15 minutes, and I kept doing kind of like this as much as I could to get some kind of attention to me. And either they drew straws, or they got the rookie salesman to come out and wait on me. And they were all just having a ball with this deal. And finally, this guy came out, and he says, can I help you? And I said, yeah. I said, I want an Eldorado. And you would never believe how I said it. And I said it real good. And so he told me, boy, be assertive. And I said, yeah, I want an Eldorado, real arrogantly. And he got real nervous because he could sense that this was a real deal. And he says, well, let me get my manager. And he went to get his manager, and out came Gil Wilson. Now, Gil Wilson and I have become real good friends since this, but Gil Wilson is the epitome of a Cadillac salesman, right? The black suit with the thin stripe, right? The little bitty skinny tie here, black horn-rimmed glasses with the gray temples. You know what I'm talking about. That's Gil Wilson, a real nice guy. And Gil Wilson came up there and he says, yes, can you help out with something here? What can I do for you? And I said, yeah, I want an Eldorado. And this was in 1968, and the Eldorados had only came out in 67. There were very few Eldorados around, like only 3. You can only get them, they're very rare to get, and so I had to have something that was different, so I wanted the Eldorado. And I said, I'm an Eldorado. And he said, well, we don't have any Eldorados available. And I said, what about this green one? And there was a green Eldorado with a forest green with a kind of beige top. It was beautiful. It just really got me when I saw it. Because when I drove up, the sun was shining on it, and I mean, it was just gorgeous. And I said, so what about that one? He said, oh, that one's sold. And I said, well, what's it doing here if it's sold? You know, and I couldn't even believe I did that, you know. I mean, I'm really getting on with it here today, feeling my oats. And so he says, well, the gentleman's supposed to come up and pick it up. It's a Friday. He said he's supposed to come up and pick it up on Monday. And I said, well, I need an Eldorado. And I said, I need it today. I said, I've got a very important business meeting I have to go to tonight, and I need an Eldorado. And he says, I can't sell you that one today. He said, but if he doesn't pick it up, you can have it on Monday. And I said, Monday will not work at all. And he said, listen, he said, come with me. And he took me to the back, and they just had the truck deliver new cars. And there was a gold Eldorado on here. I don't know if you've seen the cars when they come off the trucks. They don't have hubcaps on them. You know, and they're real ugly. They got that stuff on them to protect them. It was a real ugly deal. I didn't like it at all. And I said, I don't like that one. He said, but you either got to take this one or you got to wait till Monday. And I said, okay. I said, let's go back and talk. And he took me back into his office, what I really call his, the confession booth. You know, when you go in here to buy something, you got to confess all your sins before they let you buy it. And so he wrote down a few figures on a piece of paper, and he slid it over to me. Kind of let that one grab me. You know, and I looked at it and I says, I'll take it. And he couldn't believe it, right? And neither could I. I'm telling you, you have no idea what I was going through there. I was having so much fun with it. I had no idea what the end result was going to be. And then he says, okay. He says, if that's acceptable to you, then we'll get going. I said, okay. He said, let's get the paperwork going. I said, before you do the paperwork, I said, I got to be assured that car can be ready by 4:30 today. Can you get that car ready? Because if you can't, I got to know. He said, oh, I assure you, Mr. Thompson, he called me now. He said, I assure you, Mr. Thompson, we can get that car ready. And I said, okay. So he went back and I said, hold it now. Can the papers be ready by 4:30? Because if not, I'm going down the road here to Smith Cadillac. And he says, I get your point. And we started writing. And I went home. I had about 45 minutes. And he was going to call me back to make sure everything was going to be taken care of, got cleared on the whole thing. And I never thought it was going to happen. And he called me at 4 o'clock and he said, Mr. Thompson, come and get your car. And I let out a scream that you wouldn't even believe. And I smoked it back to Hayward, boy. And I going back there, I don't even remember how I got there. I got there, and I drove my car right up in front, right there, and I left it. I didn't make it, even try to hide the rock. I just got out and put the rock down. And I looked up, and I'm telling you, I looked up over here, and the sun is shining on this Cadillac, and it looks good. I can't even believe how good this thing looks. It looks much better than the green one, maybe because I knew it was going to be mine. So we came in there, and I said, okay. I said, let's get on. I said, I got to get going on this thing. I was nervous that I was going to change my mind. I don't know what. I wanted to get out of there with my car. And he said, well, it's going to take about 45 minutes. He said, there's one other client ahead of us here, and my girl's working on the paperwork. It's going to take about 45 minutes. And I said, I don't have 45 minutes. I said, can I just sign it, and you fill it out and send me my copies? He said, well, of course we can. And then I said, okay, let me do that. And I'm really going for this thing. And I signed at the bottom, and I said, he could put any figures in there he wanted. And I said, well, that's all right. At least I'm going to have a Cadillac for 90 days. You know what I mean? 90 days I knew I was going to look real good. So we did that, and we got out there. And now, by this time, this is the truth, everybody in this whole agency is getting into this thing. The salesmen are into it. The mechanics keep coming out. Some of them got their wives and a couple of girlfriends. They can't believe this deal's going on. And we go out there, and Gil Wilson is plenty excited about this whole thing now. He is really excited about it. And he's explaining everything to me, how it works and everything. And I said, listen, I haven't got time for that. I said, I just got to get going. And he said, well, listen, in the glove box is the operator's manual. And he said, that'd explain everything to you. And I'm pushing every button. You can't believe it. The seat goes every which way. I mean, this is just really unbelievable to me, this Cadillac is. I mean, until you experience something like that, you've never experienced it, you'll never understand that. And I'm pushing all the buttons and going back and forth, AM, FM, and I can even hear the dust on the needle on the station. I have my stereo, and I'm convinced of that, you know. And everything is perfect. And finally I said, listen, I have got to go. And I started to drive out, and the baby's backed in. And those of you that live up north, you know it's a real long driveway out there. And I started to back up, and I started to drive off. I started that baby up. I adjusted the seat, got my mirror set on this one over here, got this mirror set, pulled the wheel down, brought it out, feels good. I said, this is it. And I started to leave. And as I started to leave, I said, thank you very much, Mr. Wilson, and I buzzed up my power window, okay, and eased out of the parking lot. And just as I turned, I'm doing just 2 or 3 miles an hour, and I look up, and there's Mr. Wilson kind of trotting along the side of me like this. And I thought, golly, what a friendly salesman, you know, like giving one of these deals. I get that baby up at about 10 miles an hour, and I can't believe I look up, and here's Mr. Wilson, you know, trotting alongside. And I look over, and I got the boy's tie caught in the window. I slam on my brakes, and he goes, zoop, like that. I buzz down the window, and he does one of these, right? Unbelievable. True story. True story. About a year later, I was living out in Oklahoma, and I wanted to get another one, and I called up Mr. Wilson. I told him I was going to tell him what I wanted and everything, and I was going to have my folks drive it out. And I wasn't sure he was going to remember me at all when I called him, but he certainly did. So, I share that story with you for several reasons. Number one, I enjoy telling it, as you can tell, but also let you know that, kind of give you an idea about where I've come from and what's happened to me and what has taken place. And to share with you, I think more importantly, that if I can do something like this and make the significant changes in my life that I've made because of a few ideas that have been shared with me and because of a few people's concern and by having an opportunity at my disposal, I guess I'm trying to share with you that all of us in this room can do that too, regardless, because it really doesn't make any difference about our ages. And it really doesn't make any difference about our business background or education level. What makes a difference is about how we feel about ourselves and our opportunity. And the things that I'm going to share with you today, for some of you who have been to some of our trainings before, there's going to not be a lot brand new here. There's going to be some new stuff. But there's a lot to be said for repetition, a whole lot to be said for that. And I'm just going to go over with you. So I just encourage you all to take real good notes, and we'll go over this, and hopefully we'll share it with you, and it'll have the impact on you that it's happened to a lot of us here. And it is easy. I really like what Doug said here earlier. It's easier to make a lot of money and be successful than it is to make a living. It's difficult making a living. You understand? That's not an easy factor, making a living. It's an easier thing becoming successful. But it's not easier if you don't know a few things. You've got to be aware of those few key factors that make a difference. And I'm going to go over them with you. There's 3 parts to our Herbalife business. Okay, and you need to master them all. Of course, the products. And we're not going to talk about the products. Mark is going to be doing a seminar in about 4 weeks that will go completely over all the products with you. Okay? And you'll do it. You need to master the products. And you also need to master the second part of our business over here, which is the marketing part of our business, how the marketing opportunity works. Both of these are real simple. If you take an afternoon of 2, 3, 4 hours, you need this back perfect. Let me move this back to this side over here. Does that help? You see it now? Is it okay for everybody over here? Is this in the way? Okay. We'll get perfect. How's that? Bring this way. We're in good shape. Okay? Guys got it over there? Okay. You'll be able to take an afternoon of 3 or 4 hours and master the products and the marketing system. That's real simple. But the third part of our business is the one that we're going to talk about today here. And this is the one that you need to work on. And that's the you part. That's the only variable in our business. That's the only variable in any business. If, for those of you who are not part of Herbalife, I mean, if there's one person succeeding in Herbalife, then and there's 99 not succeeding, okay, then we know that the products are working. We know that the marketing, the only variable is this right here. See, when I first discovered that, I always thought that a company should come out with a product that would cause everybody to make $5,000 a month. Because what's the date here today? Is it 21st? 21st. It's the 21st of the month right now, and there's people in this room that have already earned over $5,000 this month. That's happened right here in this room. There's also people in this room that have earned only $500 this month. Now, it's the same 21 days, it's the same product, and it's the same marketing system. Okay, what causes one person to earn 10 times the amount of money than another person? What causes that? It's not this, and it's not this, because those are identical. It's this right here is what causes it. It's not 10 times the contacts. It's not 10 times the time. It's not 10 times the experience. That is not the factor. If that was a factor, I wouldn't be here today. Mark Hughes wouldn't be here today. Doug Stuntz wouldn't be doing what he's doing today. You understand? Because we didn't have those things. We didn't have them. It's this here. It's how you feel about the products, how you feel about the marketing, but most importantly, how you feel about your own personal financial future. How you feel about you. You got involved in Herbalife because you were looking for something to change in your life. See, different reasons, obviously. All of us have different reasons for becoming involved in the company. But we're all looking for something to change and improve. Well, I'll give you a formula here, a real easy formula that we use. For things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you've got to get better. I'll tell you what the rest of 1981 is going to be like. Exactly like the first part of 1981, unless you do something different. Now that's not only talking financially. We're going to use financial here today because that's a measuring stick. Everything else is debatable. But money is only important to measure how well you're doing, how well your principles and philosophies and willingness and desire and attitude are in fact holding up is by how much value that you can create here. Okay? And so, somebody earns $5,000, somebody earns $500. There's 10 times difference here. But when we're talking about becoming successful for things to change, you got to change. We're talking about in all areas of your life, not just money. If you don't like the way your personal life is going, I'll tell you what it's going to look like the rest of 1981. Just like the first part. It's going to. If you don't like the way your spiritual life is going, it's going to be just like it was. If you don't like the way your family life is going, it's going to be just like it was. Okay? It's not going to change. For things to get better, you got to get better. For things to change, you got to change. Okay? It's a very simple formula. Everybody I've ever met in my life, almost everybody I've ever met in my life, wants to have an above-average income. To have an above-average income, it's very simple. You got to be willing to become an above-average person. You got to be willing to have an above-average attitude, above-average handshake, above-average desire, above-average willingness, above-average excitement. You got to be above average, and you get an above average income. You never met anybody with an above average income that isn't above average. See? You got to be willing to become average, above average. You got to be willing to spend more time on you than on your job. You got to be willing to spend more time working on you than on your products. You got to be willing to spend more time on your marketing than on you than on your marketing. You got to be willing to do that sort of thing. Because that's the real factor here. And I'm going to go through here and I'm going to talk with you. The first part we're going to do here is talk to you about the concepts of how to build up an organization. Okay? As a matter of fact, I'm just going to, right here, how to build up an organization. Try to give you some notes. How to build an organization. Now, I'm going to do a lot of abbreviating here today. But you'll get it down. Now, how to build an organization, the same things apply on how to make a retail sale. The same things would apply no matter what you do. If you get the concepts down, they apply to everything. The first thing, if you're going to build an organization, you got to know what type of people to look for. Who to look for. Let's call it that. Who to look for. Who do we want to look for? We have a lot of school teachers in Herbalife. And a lot of people say, boy, I better go get me some school teachers, right? Well, I have a lot of doctors in Herbalife. Got to go get some doctors. I have a lot of professional people. We got construction workers, accountants. We got all types of people here. People go, what type of people do I look for? What type of people am I going for? I'm going to give you a common denominator that we all have here in the room. And the common denominator that all of us have, it has nothing to do with our backgrounds at all. It has nothing to do with our experiences. There's one thing that we have in common in this room. And this is the type of person you're looking for. We're looking for dissatisfied people. Dissatisfied. And you say, that sounds a little strange, right? Dissatisfied. That's right. That's what we've got in common. All of us in this room were dissatisfied with something. We came to Herbalife hoping that Herbalife would change that for us. And I'm going to give you some categories here that we're going to go with, and I encourage you to take a lot of good notes with it here. Personally, okay? Let's have some categories. So we're looking for dissatisfied people, but let's get some categories going. Of course, money, right? Show me someone that's dissatisfied with their income, and I'll show you somebody that you need to be talking to Herbalife about, okay? There's two parts to recruiting, and you need to separate these two parts. And that's what we do, we recruit. Make no mistake about it, we recruit. Don't you ever shy away from that word. The most successful organization, the only successful organizations in this country are the biggest recruiters in the world. Some of you in this room have got the different colleges and universities and institutions that have gone out there. IBM, General Motors, and Xeroxes, all the major corporations send their recruiters out to get the most talented people that they can to go to work for their organizations. Right? That's what we do also. We send you out to get the most talented people that you could find. And one thing that we're looking for besides dissatisfaction in an individual, we're looking for one key factor also, and that's called a nice person. You ever notice that about Herbalife? You've got to be a nice person. If you're not a nice person, people that aren't really nice people, they're real arrogant, so they generally don't last long here because they just don't fit around our group of people. They're not a nice people here. And it really never matters to me when someone comes and looks at our business or our product line if they become a part of us. What makes a difference to me is when they leave, they say, I'll tell you one thing, those Herbalife people are nice people. I like them. And that's the kind of feeling that I want to get going. I know that's the kind of feeling that you want. That's what we have. But don't shy away. One part of recruiting, okay, two parts to it, as we said earlier. One part is going out there and prospecting. Prospecting is the formal term in the industry. That's just finding somebody to talk to is all that is. The second part is inviting them. Or, what would that be called? Talking to them. Right? So if you were going to sell the product, the first thing you need to do is prospect, so you need to find someone to talk to about your products, right? And then you need to do what? Then talk to them. Two separate issues, two separate entities. So we're looking for dissatisfied people. The first thing we got to do is find somebody that we sense is dissatisfied, and then we're going to talk to them, okay? But what could they be dissatisfied with? How about income, okay? I would say that's initially probably 60 or 70% of the people in our company come to look at Herbalife because of this, right? And we have people making a lot of money in here. Doug Stutz stood up here and he told you, which is a fact, that he made more last month than he earned in a whole year teaching school. Now that's a phenomenal success story, right? It's a very big one. But when you take in consideration it's been less than a year that it's taken him to learn the talents to be able to do that, that is really phenomenal. And that's the kind of thing that we need to pay attention to. We don't have to accept things the way they are. See, there's only been about a half a dozen things that I've ever learned in my life that's made the majority of the difference in my life. Not just from income. I'm talking about personally. Half a dozen things have made 80% of the difference. See, the nice thing is you can have more than you have now. You can only have what you are, right? But you can have more than what you are because you can become more than what you are right now. That's what's exciting about the things that we're going to share with you here tonight. And don't ever let people tell you that there's no opportunity left. There's plenty of opportunity. In 1950, there were 16,000 millionaires in this country. There's over 600,000 millionaires in this country today, right now. So don't you buy this no opportunity story. Don't you buy this you better get something safe and secure story. You don't want to go for that story at all because that's all you're going to get is that one. Go for opportunity. And of the 600,000 millionaires, of all the millionaires going to be created this year, this is the first year that more than half of them are going to be women. Well, I guess what I'm saying is there's something for everybody here. Something for everybody. So, but when we're talking about income here, we don't need to be talking about those kind of incomes. Listen, when you start making $5, $6, $7, $8, $10, $12, $15, $20,000 a month, you don't need to be talking about that kind of money. Let me tell you what was exciting to most people. If you'd have showed me a way before I got started in the direct sales field, if you'd have showed me a way that I'd have had $400 or $500, $300 left over at the end of the month free and clear, I would have been completely satisfied because I liked my job. I enjoyed the people I worked with. I was happy there. The only thing that I wasn't pleased with was my income. And it never occurred to me that I could change it. You know that? It never dawned on me, and that is the truth, that I could do something about it. I didn't know that I could. I thought that that's the way it was because everybody I knew was that way. Everybody always has just enough money to get by. They do. And listen, I'm not making money out like it's everything because money's not everything unless you don't have enough. You think about that for a minute. What happens when you don't have enough? What does money become? Everything. So we need to face the facts here today. We need to tell ourselves the truth. But let me tell you what would get a lot of people excited. $300, $400, $500 a month. When March is over, if you've got $400 left in your bank account to do with as you please, to buy clothes, to go out someplace, to go away on a trip, to spend on your home, to give to somebody, whatever you want to do with it, free and clear to do with as you please at the end of this month, that would be something for the majority of the people in this country. It would be. Okay? And now have it at the end of April, and now have it at the end of May, and now have that at the end of June. You understand? That's a lot of money. If a person has $100 free and clear left over now at the end of each month, if they have that, and now they've got $400, they don't have an additional $300. They've got 3 times the lifestyle. You understand? 3 times the amount of entertainment you can go through. 3 times the quality of vacations. 3 times the quality of everything that you do. That's extra. It's 3 times. See? That's very important here that we understand that. And $300 or $400 is a lot of money. So you don't need to be talking about fortunes to everybody. We need to understand that just a few $100 extra is a lot. That doesn't mean that people aren't making large sums. They are. But we need to pay attention. So if you show me someone that's dissatisfied with their income, that's somebody that you need to put down and be talking to. So dissatisfaction. Here's another area. Career. Some people might be satisfied with their income, but they're dissatisfied with their career. It's very hard today to find people that are not interested in a real career. Okay, not one that's written down on a piece of paper. Okay, not one that companies or corporations talk about, but a real career where someone can sink their teeth in and do something with it. Careers are very important here. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to separate the men and the women here in 2 different groups just for an illustration here. And I'd like to talk about the women first. There's very few women today that you can meet that aren't interested in having some kind of career. Do you agree with that? Almost all of them. There's women today during their late 30s, early 40s that have never worked before. Never ever worked before, never had a job, never had any quote-unquote professional skills to go out and create a job with and create a career with, but they now feel like they need to go out there and do something for their own identity, whatever reasons. We know that, but we don't have to talk about that. That's what's happening. But where do they go? Where does the American woman go today to create a new career? Where's the first spot she go? I'll tell you, she's got a couple options. The local coffee shop, right? Or the local office, right? Where's she going to go that she can legitimately create a career? Not interfere with her family, she has one. Not interfere with it. Where can she go? There's very little offered to her. Here in Herbalife, listen, careers for women are not something that lip service is given to. Our top distributor in the company is Jerry, right? Used to teach school and used to be a checker at Market Basket. There's not 2 marketing systems here. We don't say that if you're a man and when you become a supervisor you get 50%, but if you're a woman you get 48%. Do we? We don't say that men have to do $4,000 in 1 month to move up, but women have to do $4,200. We don't have any of that deal, do we? We don't say if you're a man on your royalty override bonuses you get 5%, but if you're a woman you only get 4.5%. See, it's an equal deal here. It's equal is as equal does. See, we've got a chance for a woman to step up here and create a career of her own if she wants to. I'll use my sister as a good example. My sister was looking for a career. My sister got started in Herbalife in December of last year with a kit. And in December last year, she took that kit and she earned $560 part-time. She was living in a brand new state, only been there a few months. She didn't know anybody at all. But she got started. She was excited about the products. She lost 10 pounds on them, and she started telling people about the products, and she made $560 part-time in December. In January, she made $2,973. In February, she earned over $4,500. Her royalty bonus alone was $2,010, her third month in the business. Now, my sister didn't think that was possible to have that kind of career. If you tell that kind of story to the majority of people, they don't believe it. I'll tell you who doesn't believe it. Most of all, my sister doesn't believe it. You know, she used to drive a truck. That's the truth. She was a truck driver. She's loving this whole thing, boy. She's sitting back there. She's got a few silk shirts, right? Real skinny. Got a few $100 in her pocket. She's looking real good. You know, you single guys in this room ought to pay real close attention. You know what I mean? She's doing real good. Okay, so I'm saying that a person can start right where they are and go wherever they want to go. Let's talk about men. Put them in a separate category. Most men want a career. They do. They get going out there, and all of a sudden, most men find themselves, I never would have got out of construction work if the story I would have told you wouldn't have happened. I know I'd still be there and never know the difference. Okay? I'd have been happy because I wouldn't have known the difference. I wouldn't be unhappy knowing the difference and being back there, but I wouldn't have been any less unhappy. I wouldn't. Okay? It would have been the same. But now that I know the difference, it's a world of difference. You understand? When you have choices, knowing things, becoming aware of things only gives you choices to go with, gives you more options for you to exercise. I wish we had the ability to get 50 men in a room. Okay? And I'd like these 50 men to have one thing in common. I'd like them to have age in common. And I'd like them to be about 35 years old. And I'd like to ask these 50 men one question. So you're 35 now, gentlemen. In another 30 years, you're going to be 65, and you're going to be retiring. Our question to you is this. Do you want to be doing the same thing that you're doing now for another 30 years? If they were to answer us truthfully, what do you think the majority of them would say? No. But if we had the ability to follow them until they were 65, what do you think would happen? We'd find out that the majority of them were doing exactly what they were doing at age 35. Question, how come? How come a person would do something for 30 years that they don't want to do? Security. Answer is little of choice. You take a 35-year-old man, he generally has a family, generally has his lifestyle cocked up to a certain level here, right? He doesn't want to take a chance to jeopardize what he's got to start something brand new, even though he wants another career. And he says, I won't be doing this till I'm 65, but 36, 37, 38, and before he knows it, he's 62, 63, 64, 65, and he's doing it, and he had no intentions of it. But you see, and he gets about 60, 61, 62, you know what he says? Well, it hasn't been the best job in the world, but I'll tell you right now, it's certainly provided a lot of security from a family. Good hospitalization, good retirement. Right? You know what that's called? Justification. He's justifying to himself and to his family why he did something for 30 years he didn't want to do. Now, I'm not putting that down. Don't misunderstand that at all. I'm saying he's got to justify, because if he can't justify, you go to the local bridge and he's got to jump. See, that's what happens when a guy, takes it. He buys his own ticket, right? That's the end of the deal. He can't justify it anymore. End of deal. Right? So they've got to justify. But I'm also saying this. You take that person at 35 and you give him an opportunity that he can work at his own pace. He doesn't have to jeopardize his job. He doesn't have to jeopardize his family. He can go at his own pace, his own rate, find his own space. And I tell you what you better do with that man. If he believes in what he's doing and believes in himself enough to try, I'm telling you, you better get out of his way, because he'll take advantage of it. So when we're looking for dissatisfied people, I need you to understand the issue here. It's not just money at all. Not whatsoever. Let's talk about another area here. It's called challenge. Some people are just flat bored. Some people make a decent income. Some people got a decent career, but they're bored. Challenge is a terrible deal to have. There's nothing that does it for the human spirit like the thrill of challenge. When a person's challenged, they walk different, they talk different, they act different. You get up in the morning different. Everything is different. The way you talk to your lady, the way you talk to your men, the way you talk to your children, the way you talk to your employees and to your coworkers is different. You understand? When you've got a challenge in front of you. You have a challenge in front of you. It doesn't make any difference about if it's cold or it's rainy. It doesn't make any difference if it's hot. It doesn't make any difference if your tire blew out on the freeway. If you've got a challenge, you've got something more important in front of you. More important than coming home and, eating a little bit and turning on the television and going to sleep at 10 o'clock every night. There's something more important than that. Okay? Sometimes money and career, but it's bored. A person's got to be, can get real bored over here. Here's another one. This is important. This is called fun. Show me someone that's dissatisfied with the fun in their life. Let me tell you, fun is really something. It's hard for me. People enjoy fun, right? Fun is something. You can't even say the word fun without smiling. Try it. Say fun, right? You can smile when you say fun. You can't say fun. It won't even come out. You can't even get it out of your mouth, right? It doesn't happen. Everybody enjoys having fun. They do. But there's things, you've got... we've all been in this situation before, right? There's going to be a big party coming up in 3 weeks. I'm telling you, in 3 weeks, boy, are we going to have some fun in 3 weeks. What happened to this time in between? Are we only reserved for fun in 3 weeks at this party? Is that the only time we can have fun? Or can we have fun going to work? Can we have fun taking rejection? Can we have fun with disappointment? See? Can we do that deal? Listen, if fun is such a good deal, it seems like we should be able to capitalize on it as much as we can. Doesn't that make sense to you? The party deal. 3 weeks we're going to have fun, right? Get closer to 2 weeks now, we're going to have fun at this party. 1 week, oh boy, 1 more week and we're going to have a ball. Saturday night comes around, it's a big bummer, right? You can't just say, okay, it's 8 o'clock Saturday night, 3 weeks later, now we're going to have some fun. It doesn't work that way, right? Fun is either part of your life or it's not a part of your life. What causes people to not have fun? Lack of money, lack of career, lack of challenge. You've got these things going, you're going to have fun. No matter what happens to you, you're going to have fun because you now have the capacity for life. You got the capacity to have fun. You can only have as much fun as you have the capacity to enjoy it. See? You're only going to have as much fun as you're entitled to have according to your personal growth and your personal awareness. That's the only amount of fun that you can have. That's sustaining. So you show me someone who's dissatisfied, and I'll show you someone that you need to put down on your list. So you get the idea of what we're looking for? If you're going to build an organization, you want to know who to look for? Dissatisfied people. Now, you can come up with a lot more categories than I've got here, can't you? Just go to work with dissatisfied. Now, if you find someone that's completely satisfied, you don't want to invite them at all, right? It'd be a waste of time. But if you find someone like that, would you do me a favor? Take a picture of them and get a description so we can pass around. So you find one like this, don't invite them, right? They're completely satisfied. But I don't think you're going to find them too well. Okay, who to look for? Now, we got that one done. The next thing we want to do here is we want to put together a list of names. We're going to call this one A up here, and we'll call this one B down here. List of names. Now, we're going to put together a list of names of who? Dissatisfied people.